Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoballer Radio Waiver Wire Series. I'm your host, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you here for Week 4 Waiver Wire, the running back position. All right, everybody, injuries, ineffectiveness, continue to haunt the position, but truthfully, you're kind of limited now. Running backs tough to find on the waiver wire as more and more people being smart and making sure they have their primary running backs backup. All right, guys. Don't forget to win big in 2021. Rotoballer.com's NFL Premium Pass. Are you ready to dominate your season-long and DFS leagues? Rotoballer's NFL Premium Pass and Draft Kit includes rankings, projections, and cheat sheets for all formats. Get exclusive DFS tools, lineup optimizers, and premium Slack chats. Join in on the winning. Take 50% off any Premium Pass. Use my promo code ACES for an additional 10% discount. Visit rotoballer.com/radio. Sign up today and start rotoballing like a boss. All right, everybody. Like I mentioned, devastating week, right? Christian McCaffrey goes down Thursday night. He's going to miss some time. Dalvin Cook inactive as the week went on. It looked worse and worse for him, okay? Eli Mitchell in the 49er running back situation. Darrell Henderson doesn't play. James White leaves with a hip injury, okay? The Jets are a non-factor in the backfield. You go on and on and on and on. The takeaway from me, week 3, is your big-time back, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, whoever it is, you cannot let their backup sit on the waiver wire. Because the amount of fab it's going to cost you this week to add Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers is going to be astronomical. And the truth is, he's a part-time add because the McCaffrey grade 1 hamstring strain may only keep him out 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, so unless you have terrific wide receiver depth, running back depth, and you could say, I'd love to have him, but I can't overpay for him. I have enough running backs to get by. You're going to have to pay just to survive the next couple of weeks potentially. And then he must stay on your roster. You've got to keep the backup. If you have Miles Sanders, make sure you have Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, if you have Damian Harris, Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, who's been inactive, it's probably Taylor. But now they lost James White. So let's see where that goes next week in New England. Right, you lost Darrell Henderson. Hey, Sony Michel didn't do much. It was 3.4 yards per carry. But he's already on rosters. And that's the thing is, Alexander Madison was already rostered. Sony Michel was already rostered. You couldn't rally at the last minute and add these players. There are some you can add. Okay, and we start with Hubbard of Carolina. He's a must-own. He is the #1 waiver claim across positions this week. 25% rostered as of Sunday on Yahoo. Comes in from McCaffrey on Thursday night, goes 11 carries, 52 yards, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Sam Darnold targets him 5 times, 3 for 27. Gives you 10.9 fantasy points, and he's going to play. Okay, he's going to play against Dallas next week on the road. Carolina drafted him to be McCaffrey's backup. They're ready to roll with him. Now, you hope it's not long. You can't survive without McCaffrey long. Now, I'm lucky. In a Rotoballer challenge where I had the first pick and took McCaffrey, I took Hubbard. And it was funny. The moment I saw the McCaffrey injury, I grabbed my phone and I found that team of all my teams. My only team I had McCaffrey because it was the only league I had the first overall pick. Okay, I did have the first overall pick in a 2 QB and I took Mahomes. And I looked and there was Hubbard on my bench. And I now know I can have some fun with my fab. I could throw a couple of $3, $4, $5 bids out there on other players because I don't have to spend 40% on Hubbard. Okay, if you have McCaffrey, you need to overspend this week unless your running back depth is so good that you think you can survive without him. But he's the #1 ad of the week, and you're going to play him next week against Dallas. He's a top 24 running back next week. #2 at the running back position. Zach Moss of the Buffalo Bills. Now, some people are laughing at me right now, Zach Moss. But we can't deny the fact that Zach Moss has a combined 33 fantasy points over the last 2 weeks, including 18.10 this week and 15 last week. Okay, last week he finished with 2 late touchdowns. This week, he ran 13 times for 60 yards. Even though he was inactive week 1 and Devin Singletary was decent, Buffalo is going back and leaning back on Zach Moss. 13 for 60. Now, what's impressive about Zach Moss? Caught the ball out of the backfield this week. 3 catches on 3 targets, 31 yards, and gets in the end zone. Faces Houston next week. If you decide I've lost McCaffrey, or I had Dalvin Cook, and I didn't get Madison, okay, or I lost Darrell Henderson. Heck, I'd rather use Zach Moss than Sony Michel. Zach Moss, though, is more rostered than the others here today, 53%. Okay? So he might not be available in all your leagues. He probably got dropped in a lot of leagues after week 1 being inactive. People started adding him again last week, but not everybody. See if he's out there. Number 3, talk about backing up, Peyton Barber. I know, I'm shocked I'm talking about Peyton Barber on a waiver wire video show in 2021. But we are. Because over the last 2 weeks, it has shown that Peyton Barber is Josh Jacobs' backup. Kenyon Drake is a satellite change of pace back. Last week, Peyton Barber had 13 carries. Didn't do much with it, but there was volume. There was 13 carries. This week, in a fantastic game, he had 23 carries for 111 yards. Okay, got in the end zone once. Was a beast, if you watch the game, in overtime. Driving the pile for positive yardage every single time he touched the ball. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 31 yards as well. 23 fantasy points. Faces a Charger team, faces a Charger defense that just allowed Clyde Edwards-Helaire to run for 100 yards. And if you remember, after the fumble last week, everybody was throwing dirt on top of Clyde Edwards-Helaire's career. Okay? Peyton Barber, if you have Josh Jacobs, must be on your roster right now. And he's only 6% rostered. Not as urgent if you're fully stacked at running back. Because again, that's a situation that will have to shake out once Josh Jacobs returns. And truthfully, Josh Jacobs should be the primary ball carrier for the Raiders once he returns. Now, I mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he had a nice game, 100 yards. But again, get Darrell Williams on your team. Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be one more clutch fumble away from losing touches. Darrell Williams did carry the ball 7 times for 28 yards, 2 catches for 11, just under 6 points. They're at Philadelphia. But it's the theme of the show. Back up your running backs. Okay, back up your running backs. Back up Derrick Henry. Okay, back up Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson, if he didn't catch that long touchdown in week 3, was a non-factor. J.D. McKissick should be on your team if you have Antonio Gibson. Okay, you back up your running backs right now. Every single one of them, if they're viable. All right, there are some that maybe aren't viable. But if they're viable, you back them up. The Baltimore situation is a mess. Tyson Williams, maybe it's Lat Murray. That's a messy situation. Okay? But if there's a viable, clear-cut number 2, you add them. And Chuba Hubbard is, Peyton Barber is, Darrell Williams. Those are all viable number 2s on their roster. Zach Moss, you can argue, is at least a 1-1A with Devin Singletary. All right, everybody? Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy. Tune into SiriusXM each and every morning, 6 a.m. Real Talk Ralph, Josh Hayes, myself. And Game Day Sundays, Josh Hayes and Scott Angle. And make sure you stay right here on the Rotoballer Radio YouTube channel for the wide receiver show, the tight end quarterback show, the King and Pocket Aces show, which takes a look at sleepers and value plays, and all the great content from the whole crew at rotoballer.com or wherever you listen to the Rotoballer Radio podcasts, all right? Like I said, Twitter, Aniano Fantasy, and we'll see you next time. Stay smart, stay safe. Have a good one, folks.